Road podcast, telling the stories of the South Texas racers from the past and present.
Hello, my name is James Parks. Welcome to the Thunder Road podcast, filmed here at the Top Hat Signs and Design Studio. We would like to take a minute to thank our sponsors, Proline Fabrication, 112 Bodies, S&S Monuments, and of course, Top Hat Signs and Designs. If you or anyone you know would like to advertise or be a partner of the Thunder Road podcast, please send us an email seen in the description below. So there was no racing at the South Texas Race Ranch this weekend, but there was no shortage of action. 3 other local tracks did race. Texana Raceway Park, I-37 Speedway, and Gulf Coast Speedway all put on shows this Saturday. Great racing, great competition. Also, we have the crew from S&S Monuments. They'll be here to talk about their Easter egg extravaganza on April 15th at the race ranch. And last but not least, we have the Robstown Rocket, Cameron Starry, here to tell us his story about himself and his family being involved in racing. Well, with that being said, let's get the show started. Texana Raceway Park, they had a great car count this weekend. Looked like they had a really racy track. Jaden Edmond, he won the Sport Mod feature. I'm not positive what the chassis is, but I do believe he calls it the Atomic Banana. I think I saw that on the internet, but I believe that is his second feature win in that car. Hobby stocks, you know anything about this Mickey Helms guy?
Well, he's probably won, that may be like the 700th win he's ever had.
Him and Lawrence probably have numbers up there about the same, I suspect.
He's won a bunch.
Hobby stocks, I guess that deal is that some of the older factory stock cars? I'm not super positive on what those deals are.
They got some hot rod Novas over there that are pretty competitive.
Pretty sporty?
It allows other guys like us to drag some old Malibus out of the weeds and go play with and tear them up and then not be too painful.
Mickey's always a contender. Anywhere he goes, he's always a contender. On the IMC Modifieds, what about them slot boys?
Oh, Ryan and Rob, both class acts. Have a long history with those guys. When I ran my Street Stock Shootout series, they were both main contenders. Love Ryan to death. Very competitive. Good deal.
On the dwarf cars, man, I said on the last show, Dustin Rudy's hard to beat. That guy's hard to beat anywhere he goes. Him and that dwarf car, they're lethal. Those guys are fast. They got something figured out in that deal. They're moving, so congrats to Dustin Rude. On the pro trucks, local racer, Jared Barber. The Barber family's been involved in racing as far as I can recall, as far as I can remember. They've been involved. On the E-Mods, what do you know about Caden?
I see his name a lot. I don't know him personally, but I see his name up here a lot, so congratulations to him.
Yep, Caden put on a good show with that E-Mod deal.
Yeah, and Jared Barber, too, going back to him. I mean, his family class act. Another one of my Street Stock Shootout drivers, so ding, ding with that.
Cool deal. And then there's Johnny Torres. Johnny Torres is on a tear this season. He seems to be almost unstoppable in that factory stock.
Yeah, I'm going to go kidnap him and take him to Vegas because he's got some luck all over him right now, and he can't do nothing wrong. So congratulations. I know he's worked hard at that.
Well, good deal. Congratulations to all those feature winners at Texana. I-37, I know they also had a little bit of a rain out up there on the factory stocks. Cameron Dinsmore, I believe that is his first feature win. I don't know a whole lot about that, but I do believe that's where we stand.
That family from Kernville, their dad's been racing a long time. I know he's as proud as he can possibly be over that. So congratulations.
Cool deal. Brandon McCall in the Sport Compacts. I did not get to watch all of the Race on Texas video, but I did see some of it, and I think I saw that dude do a donut after he won the race. I'm not positive. But congratulations to Brandon McCall. On the IMC Modifieds, that's another guy that's kind of local. He's almost family to me. We both grew up in the same town down in the valley. But Jared Maupin, that kid, man, that kid is stellar. You put him in a car, anything with a wheel and a gas pedal, and it's going to go to the front.
It's got to be boring for somebody like him to just win all the time. I mean, how much fun?
It never gets boring. It never, ever gets boring.
That guy wins.
What do we got up next there? We got one of them Macta checks.
Man, I know that family. We go way back. But Marcus is making
it's a chip off the old block.
He's got his own chapter going, and congratulations. I know he works hard at it.
Those Macta checks, they're nothing new to racing. So Lawrence, and obviously Lawrence's dad raced forever. Lawrence has been around, I guess, since 1933. We discussed in the last podcast. Marcus is coming along. He's got grandkids coming along, and them grandkids are just as fast as Marcus in some instances.
I ran over one of his grandkids this last race at South Texas. I didn't mean to, but
well, it happens, I suppose.
I was waiting for Lawrence to slap me around after the race, but he wasn't there, thank God.
Crazy. On the late models, Ryan Doyen, that Doyen family, they've been racing for a long time too. Dirt racing, they're running the show there at I-37. It's a good family. I feel like they contribute a lot to the South Texas racing and in the Pleasanton, San Antonio area. Gulf Coast Speedway, that's a little further than I want to call a South Texas track, but we had some South Texas boys do really well up there, and I want to talk about them. Isaiah Garcia travels all the way from the Valley. Drives all the way up to the Gulf Coast Speedway, and he won again. I believe this is his second feature win of the season at Gulf Coast. So congratulations to Isaiah. Ray Allen Kohanek, I think the story goes as of 10 o'clock he didn't have a ride Saturday morning. As of 10:30 he did, and he jumped in a turf micro up there and won the show. Put on a good show. Ray does work out of my shop. I get to see him and tease him and bust his balls on a regular occasion. I don't know if you know Caden Pacheco.
I don't.
Caden Pacheco is a young man, plays sports, plays some baseball, plays some different sports, and he races a junior sprint and a go-kart. This is Caden's first feature win. He was able to pull it off. He passed some cars. He got the job done. He also ran here at the Stars event in February. But congratulations to those guys. Just because that track isn't in South Texas doesn't mean I'm not going to give those guys their props. So congratulations to all the feature winners. You guys did a hell of a job.
Absolutely.
And thank you for representing South Texas. So speaking of winning, let's talk about the S&S Monuments Easter Egg Extravaganza. I have Sheryl and Stephan Danielsen here. They're going to tell us a little bit about the extravaganza and about what's going on at the South Texas Race Ranch. Stephan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Give us a little history, a little overview about yourself and how you kind of became involved in this sport.
Oh, well, me and my brother, we were both in junior high, and we talked my dad into building a 71 Camaro, and we drug it to CC Speedway and made fools out of ourselves for the next 2 years.
You got to start somewhere.
We had a ball, we had fun. It was cheap and affordable, and we got introduced into it that way, and it's taken
So what kind of car was it? What was your entry-level car back then?
My father's entry-level car was a 71 71 Camaro, and had a 327-ish, yeah. We didn't have performance camshafts or racing tires or anything. We had a welder down the street that came in and threw a roll cage in it, and within 2 or 3 weeks we had something that would go around the gas station, and we decided it was going to be a race car. So we towed it with a 2-wheel dolly trailer from Bishop to CC Speedway.
That's a lot of miles.
And we tied the steering wheel to the roll cage so the tires wouldn't rotate and all that stuff. But yeah, that's how. And sometimes when we had a friend that rode with us, my brother would have to sit in the race car strapped in with a helmet, because that was the only way he was going to get to the racetrack.
You did say Bishop, right?
Yeah,
Bishop.
exactly.
Okay. Kids, don't try this at home.
But we did upgrade to a trailer, so he got to ride in the race car on top of the trailer, later in the year.
Again, This is Bishop.
But yeah, that's how we got started, and just me and my brother.
And you never looked.
My dad.
Never looked back after that, I suppose.
Never
There's
have.
no stopping.
Now my dad, is watching us and comes and gives us helpful hints and tells us what we're doing wrong.
Cool deal. So here's the deal. There's 3 family names in local racing, and they're huge names in the local scene. You got the Danielsens, you got the Jacksons, and you got the Stevens. And we're all in one on this deal. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about how that all came to be. Tell us how that happened.
Well,
that's a mix. That's a huge mix.
I'll start it, and then I'll let her finish it.
If we had the Brady Bunch music, we might play it at this point.
Yeah, really.
How
No
about
doubt.
I get to start it,
Okay,
and
go
then
ahead.
you can finish.
All right, go for it.
So back in the day, my brother, I was already married at the time, and asked me to hold a race car in my backyard. Greg Carlucci got my brother into racing many years ago.
The old Luch.
at CC Speedway.
So he looched you. That's what's happened.
He did. So I held this car for a year because he didn't have enough courage to tell my daddy he bought a race car. So he finally called my dad over to the backyard and found this race car. And my dad told my brother, he goes, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Dad, I really want to race." And my dad told him, "Well, you can race as long as you're safe." And so my dad made sure that the car was safe. And so that started the Stevens racing. So then, of course, my sons were born into it. And Justin and Kyle, they actually had a news program for both of them racing. Justin went to King, Kyle went to Ray. So they raced against each other at South Texas Speedway. But Justin raced a VW Bug at CC Speedway.
CC Speedway, yeah.
And he got pushed around the track more than he drove around.
I think that
the track.
was Sean Borland's car. Was it Sean Borland's car?
Was.
And then you had Little David. Little David actually drove. He drove a go-kart for us a few times. I think he even drove a bomber of Jerry Walters for a while.
He did. David actually, he was in the traveling go-kart series and went down to the valley, raced a few times down there. And yet David started racing the big cars at 13.
Cool deal.
So Justin and Kyle started in 88.
And then what happened?
Well, then I'm going to let Steph finish from here.
Well, so while her thing's going on, our family started in '79 at CC Speedway. I was 13 when I got in my first car. That was a demolition derby at Riverside Speedway. Throughout the years of racing different classes all over Texas and stuff like that, I came all the way back home. And lo and behold, I needed a photographer for a big event that I was hosting, the South Texas Nationals at Goliad. And I needed a photographer. And so some guys helped me out, found Cheryl. She came out, did the event. That's when we kind of met each other. And 2 or 3 days after that, I invited her to come over for barbecue after this big event. And my dog proceeded to hump her arm for the next 30 minutes.
It was a sign.
And,
it was a sign.
So anyway, it's been good since.
Well, that's interesting. Like I said, the families have been around a long time. It's really neat to see all of them combine like that. We were just talking before the show started. I actually used to do some bowling with Mr. Stevens, and the families got together. We did do a lot of activities together. So let's talk about this Easter egg extravaganza you guys have got coming up. It's a pretty big deal in our area. I don't know anybody else in town that puts as much time and dedication into this deal. I want you guys to tell us what this is about and what drives you guys to want to put this on. I'm sure that there is a ton of behind the scenes stuff that nobody understands. So let's hear some of that stuff.
Well, for me, I've been working with children my whole life. As in, I was working at Ray, and then I went to Child Protective Services. So I've always had a passion with children, and I give. When kids are involved, I'm giving. There's just no doubt about that. So Owen, we had talked to Owen last year about doing the Easter extravaganza, and last year we donated about 5,000 eggs, and we decided we needed more. So our goal this year was 10,000.
Can you say that again?
10,000.
10,000 eggs, folks. 10,000 eggs.
We are over 10,000 eggs now, and we wanted to make it bigger and better, and I think we've done that. So we did have I was not on a budget this year, which was good.
So they're all stuffed with $20 bills.
No, not necessarily, but we did have an Easter egg stuffing party, which me and my parties, I love to have parties, but I do have a lot of special thank yous.
Well, put it out there. Anybody that helps you with this stuff, like I said, there's a ton of work that goes on behind the scenes that most people don't know and most people don't realize. So go ahead. Thank them. My
office staff, first of all, Mandy and I sat in the office stuffing 1,500 eggs. It took us 3 days to do that. So you can imagine what 10,000 eggs would have taken us. So this party we put together, Chuck, Christina, and Charlotte Perry, Erica and Pistol Parks, Mandy Dublin, Alexis Aubrey, and Justice, Justin, Ren, Easton, and Cash Jackson, and Julie and Corey were all there stuffing eggs. We ran out of candy, sent Chuck and Stephan to go get more candy, and they wiped out Walmart.
Designated candy finders, which we depleted the Walmart on SPID. They had no more candy, so don't.
Did they know you by name as you walked in?
The second time they walked in, they just said, "Hey, there ain't nothing left except for a few payday bars." So we then started driving around the rest of Corpus, ransacking general stores and General Dollar and Dollar Tree.
Well, on behalf of the South Texas Racers, we do thank y'all for the time and effort that y'all put into that. It's a thankless job a lot of times doing some stuff out there, but it needs to be done. And like I said, we do appreciate that. What is it that you guys need? Maybe you guys need some more candy. You guys need some more bikes. You need some more $20 bills. What might y'all need to help finish out this project?
Well, anything that we get over at this point is just cherry on the top. But like last year, we were in the same position with 5,000 eggs, and we got there, and teams brought eggs and brought bikes and toys. And then when the kids came out of the grandstands and you're staring at 500 of them and the whole infield's full of eggs, there's still kids that didn't get any. And Cheryl was the one that pointed it out. So she started running around handing these kids greenbacks. And so we were going to make sure that didn't happen this year. But I expect there's going to be more than 500 kids there this time. There's going to be a bunch. So I think what we have might be enough. But with that being said, if the people that helped out last year, mingled and brought more stuff that we can add to it, more the better.
So if you have any donations of any kind that you'd like to donate to that, you just get a hold of Stephan and or Cheryl, and Cheryl will give you the phone number here shortly. Also, if you have some stuff you just want to bring to the track, I think that's okay too.
Absolutely.
If you want to bring your own eggs, you want to bring your own candy, bicycles, whatever it is that you feel like you want to give away, bring that to the track with you as well. If you want them to come and pick stuff up, or if you want to donate to them, Cheryl will give you the number. Cheryl, why don't you go ahead and give us that number so they know who to contact? Well,
we do. If you want to donate eggs, candy, bikes, gift cards, prizes, feel free. You can drop them by the office, S&S Monuments, 4624 Baldwin, or you can call me, 361-444-5955, and I can have somebody swing by and pick up. But, if you just want to donate money, whatever you can donate would greatly be appreciated.
Right. And even if you want to be a volunteer to help us hide these things, that in itself is probably going to take an hour hiding 10,000
I heard there was a mascot. I don't want you to reveal who the mascot is, but I do understand that there is a mascot coming. I think that's pretty cool. So we may have a guessing game.
He's already been fitted.
All right, so when does this exactly take place? It's not on Easter.
Aha. Yeah, so the Easter egg extravaganza doesn't happen on Easter weekend. It happens on April the 15th, the week after. And normal hours for the racetrack, I think they start at 7 o'clock. But this is key, and everybody needs to share this. Owen lets kids 10 and under in free. So that's on any given weekend that they race. But on this particular weekend, tell the kids to bring some friends, and because these racers are going to put on an even better show when they look up and they see there ain't no empty seats. And if they're all full of kids, hey, even better.
All right, well, here's something I want to know. Obviously, we've talked about the Easter egg extravaganza. We've talked a little bit about your racing pass and how you got in it. But what makes you guys, what makes S&S Monuments as a team, what makes y'all so dedicated to the local racing scene? Not just big cars, not just the South Texas Race Ranch, but the go-karts, all of that stuff. What is it that drives y'all to be so dedicated to that?
Man, it's not one single thing. There's a lot of little things, but growing up most of my whole childhood and then even into my adult, I was never in a position where I can buy anything I wanted anytime I wanted to go do it. I had to earn everything. I mowed grass so I can go race my car when I was in high school. And I'm in a position now where things are going a lot. Yeah, a lot of people have helped me over the years. I've developed lifelong friends, that I've gotten in fights with, and then we made up and we're best friends. And it's just, the circle track drama stuff, if you don't do it, you have no idea, how it impacts your life.
Racers have always seemed to help racers. That's something I've noticed. Even when we get into skirmishes on the track, 9 times out of 10, when somebody's in need, they're all there to help each other.
I mean, we talked about Mickey Helms a little while ago. I've gotten into some skirmishes with him as recently as a month ago. We got in an accident at the racetrack. But that guy right there, he was my tech man at my street stock shootout series the last year I did it. And he did it for no money. He did it for the love of the sport. And I know for a fact he has given so much to so many people over the years that it's just a known. He's got so much passion for the sport, and everybody is like that.
Well, that's a cool deal. So another thing that S&S does is y'all sponsor the checkered flag. So correct me if I'm wrong, but if you win a heat race and or a feature, you get to carry a flag. And this has been drilled in my head because I have 2 kids.
If you win hot laps, you just get to brag about it. You don't get a flag for winning hot laps. But if you win a heat race feature, B main, you get a flag, and there's no telling what color that flag may be.
So if the checkered flag drops on you,
yes,
you've won.
You won.
So I have 2 kids. I won a heat race the other day. I gave one flag away. The other kid didn't have a flag. So I was like, man, I really got to get up on the wheel so I can bring the other flag, and then we'll figure the trophy out later. So but that's really a cool deal. I appreciate everything you guys do. Thank y'all for joining us today. Thank you for taking your time not only to do the Thunder Road podcast, but to take the time to do the Easter egg extravaganza. And thank you to South Texas Race Ranch for hosting the Easter egg extravaganza. Up next, we have Cameron Starry, also known as the Robstown Rocket. This young man has a great story to tell about how he got involved, how his family got involved. And honestly, it's more than just a racing story. It really is a family story. So with that being said, I introduce Cameron Starry.
Hello. Thank you for having me on the Thunder Road podcast.
Well, thank you for coming. It's a long drive all the way from, I guess my question is it Robstown or is it actually Benketti?
It's Robstown. It's about, if you're asking me, I'd probably say Robstown because we're right there next to it. But for school reasons, we wish it was Benketti.
I understand. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about how you and your family became involved in racing.
I'm a 17-year-old baseball player, travel baseball player that transitioned into racing in, I want to say 17 now. So when I was 14 years old, so about 3 years ago is whenever I really got my start into racing.
But, so you just said no more baseball, we're going to hold a steering wheel and wear different gloves? Or, what happened there?
So basically, going into my 7th grade year, our family had a pretty tragic loss. We lost 5 family members in one day, one night.
Crazy deal.
Yeah, so it really changed everything, how you basically viewed how fast things can change in your life and really what you want to do.
Yeah, life can change in an instant for sure.
And that really made me view, is baseball really something that I wanted to do, and if I really had a career in it. Because whenever I was in 7th grade, I was a little 5 foot tall, chubby kid, didn't run fast, didn't throw very hard.
I've never run fast, so don't worry. I understand completely.
I still struggle with that right now, but I was just a little short, chubby kid, didn't run fast, didn't throw hard, didn't hit the baseball very good. So I had in the past, whenever I was little, my dad raced limited modifieds. And
who is your dad? Tell the world who your dad is.
James Starry.
The legend that is James Starry.
That is my dad. He used to drive the number 74, white pure stock, and then he drove the Bud Light and then Bud Light Lime limited modified growing up. And I had actually had a go-kart, so I guess in a way you could say my racing has always been with me since I was little, but the reason why I had got out of racing is because the night I was supposed to make my debut for my go-kart, my dad flipped going down the back straightaway.
I recall that. He came off of turn 2, the car went airborne. It was a pretty nasty flip. He got out of it. I'm sure he was shook up. I don't remember him being hurt, but it definitely was a wild ride.
Yes, and my little 6-year-old self standing there in the grandstands while everybody's standing there shocked as my dad just barrel rolled down the backstretch. Decided that maybe racing wasn't for me.
You?
Yeah.
Well, so you did the baseball deal. You got you played sports in high school. What else? What other sports did you play?
I played a little bit of football. Was never really the big kind of football guy.
I was the big guy. I just wasn't in football.
But I played a little bit of basketball. I tried a little bit of everything. Here recently, I've basically just been focusing on basketball and baseball. But I tried tennis for the first time this year.
You don't say, tennis.
And
So Ben Katie has a tennis team.
yeah, we have a tennis team. There's actually more people signed up for it than I had anticipated.
Do they have like a bowling thing too, or is it just tennis? Like we're just doing tennis, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean it's just tennis, but I actually thought, small school tennis, not very like known sport for people just to get into, and I didn't even make the varsity team. That's how good I was. I played JV tennis. I had only lost one match all year.
So you're almost undefeated?
I'm almost undefeated, I guess you could say that. The competition I was playing wasn't very good, and my skill set wasn't very good. Everybody serves overhand.
But did you have a good time?
I had a good time.
But you did it differently though.
Everybody serves overhand. I served underhand, but that wasn't the reason I was out there. The real reason I was out there was to get out of school and go eat some free snacks at the concession stand.
There's always an ulterior motive for sure.
Always.
So tell us a little bit about the racing side. So you watched Starry flip over. You decided you didn't want to do that. You kind of hung out and did the sports deal, and then all of a sudden, y'all as a family made a decision to unite. I'm going to say you made this decision to unite. And here we are stock car racing. Your dad actually came to me at one point and was looking for a car for you. So I remember that whole transition. I remember that whole thing happening. Here we are. We got a car in the garage. What happens now?
What happened now, I guess, for our first thing would be is safety. How safe I knew I was going to be able to drive to my full ability, knowing that no matter what, I was as safe as I could be inside.
Safe as you could be, yeah.
Yes. And then the second thing would be fixing up the car to get it how I liked it. I remember we stayed up late sanding down the old rusted paint to spray paint blue paint on there out of a rattle can.
I know there's a graphic shop if you need to cover that rust. Top Hat Signs and Designs for all your decal needs.
And then I remember it was little things.
What was the first car?
Well, the first car was a little home-built car that my dad got out of the infield at CC Speedway.
Of course he did.
I remember I went out to, I got it Christmas Day, went to Lawrence McLachek's the next day for a play day, and motor was running so hot we had to run without no front on the car. But that was beside the point at the time. At the time, it was get out there, have fun, do something new. I'm
going to say we kind of pick on Lawrence a lot, but he really is a good guy. And honestly, most of the youngsters that are racing now have turned laps at Lawrence's track, whether it was the old original track or the new track. If I had to guess, 95% of the local kids have turned laps at his racetrack. And honestly, I think that's a great deal. So tell us some of your accomplishments. You sanded this thing down, you got it all prettied up, you got comfortable in it. You took the memory of James Starry rolling down the back straightaway out of your mind, and you said, "Here we go. Tell us what we did. What did we do?"
The first night out, I think there was 6 cars showed up, and we finished 4th. Only 2 spins in the feature, but we finished the feature.
No,
I think second night out we finished 3rd. Surprised ourselves. 3rd night out finished, I think, another 3rd. And then 4th night out, we ended up getting a win out of nowhere.
And this was like a factory stock car at the time?
Yeah,
a pure stock type deal?
It was a pure stock. I guess back then they're called bombers.
Bombers, yeah. Yep.
So it's basically a pure stock deal. And it was just an old home-built chassis with a motor that was about...
You said you got her hot, had to take the nose off to keep her cool.
So there ain't no telling what the motor had seen or been through, but we were just out there just trying to make laps, have fun.
So we did the local racing scene. You obviously won a feature. I don't know how many feature wins do you think you won in the local area? And by the local area, I'm talking Corpus, Pleasanton, Edna. I mean, what kind of accomplishments did we have or did you have in this area?
My 2020 year, I won 1 feature. My 2021 year, I won 1 feature also. That was the year I moved up from bomber to a factory stock.
Okay.
A lot of hard times, a lot of wrecked race cars, but and then moving on to our 2022 year, we had actually got all fresh new equipment from our my good best friend Leslie Gill.
So let's talk about Leslie. So everything kind of changed at that point. You were racing on a local level. You were, like you said, you were racing a home built car. Nothing wrong with that. Those cars are fast. But something changed for Cameron. Something happened. Something got the eye of someone that was willing to put the time, the money, and the effort into. What was that draw? How did that come about? How did Mr. Gill, how did he come on board with you guys?
Actually, it's kind of a funny story and kind of an odd story.
Was there any gambling involved?
No, not yet.
Okay.
That's a little later on.
Okay, perfect.
So basically, I guess you could say is gambling. He posted on Facebook that a lot of people had been asking about him sponsoring their race cars, and at the time I didn't know him. I think 2 weeks before that he had sent me a friend request on Facebook, and I accepted it because his stock car looked cool inside the cover photo. And I remember I was sitting there playing video games one night, and my dad came walking in and asked me who that Leslie Gill guy is on Facebook that was asking if anybody that was a rookie or first couple year racer needed some help to get their feet wet and do something that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And usually if we had seen that stuff, we would pass up on it because of where my skill set and where I was at the time. But I told my dad, we ain't got nothing to lose. He's either he's gonna help us or he's gonna say that he found somebody else.
So you responded to the Facebook ad. Obviously, things progressed from there, and then you just walk outside one day and there sits a stock car. You walk outside one day, there sits a modified. How does that happen? Because I walk outside all the time and cars don't appear.
So at first it started with I believe a $1,000 sponsorship to get his sticker on the right rear quarter panel. And from then, my car went from blue and orange to red, black, and white.
That's the colors of Stealth Oilfield Service.
Yes, sir. And then actually, the BD1 Modified was in town, and they were having hot laps at L87. And they had asked me if I wanted to go out there and put some laps in on a modified, just see what the bigger car, different motor, and just see how I would react to the changes. And I think my dad had taken a video of me out there driving it and posted it on Facebook. And about 2 weeks later, Leslie has sent me a message asking if that was me driving the modified, because he had one sitting at his house that he hasn't driven in a while. Asked me if I would take care of it, if I would drive it with respect, everything like that. And I messaged back and told him that I would do the best that I could to make him proud, make everybody proud. And next thing you knew, about 2 weeks later, 2020 Harris Modified was sitting in my driveway.
Well, that's cool. So he obviously watched what you were doing on Facebook. He watched what your dad was posting. I'm sure he kind of looked at some other things, but he thought that it was a good investment, a good gamble, as we said, putting you in some of his equipment. And I remember when that was very new. I remember when all that was happening. So the car shows up, you're getting in it, you're getting the fit and the finish, getting it comfortable for you, and then what happens?
We went out and ran it our first night at Texana Raceway Park. I think it was like a Memorial Day race or something like that, where it was a 2-day show, a Saturday, Sunday, because everybody was off on Monday. And we practiced the modified Friday night. I couldn't drive it to save my life. So we decided Saturday we were going to park it and just make laps after the race that we wouldn't tear anybody up, tear our own equipment up. And we raced the factory stock. I think we got a top 5 in that one. And then the second night got rained out. but my dad had talked Cordbeard into moving it to Monday middle of the day race.
Oh,
And everybody agreed, and everybody showed up, and I decided if we're gonna have a modified sitting here already at the track, might as well race it.
so that's where
And-
you cut your teeth in a day race on a Monday.
Yes, sir. Dried out track, slick as can be, and I think I went from like 12th to 4th in my first modified race. And there was people coming up to me after the race, asked me what I did different from practice night to race night, and I told them.
Should you tell them it was iRacing?
I should have told them that at the time, but the real problem was when I put all the brakes to the rear, I had accidentally put it all the way to the front. So when I got on the brakes, it wasn't helping.
Those are rookie mistakes. Obviously, you've learned from those mistakes because, man, you've got some great accomplishments, not just locally, but you guys have traveled abroad with the stealth oil-filled machines. Not just machine, but there's multiples now. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about the traveling. Tell us about some of the accomplishments, the races, the highs, the lows. What does it take to get there? The family and the family sacrifices, the sacrifices with school. People don't realize you racing on Saturday means there's a lot of preparation behind the scenes, especially when you're racing that far away, because you're not just racing 100 miles or 2 miles away. You've made some pretty good journeys. So tell us a little bit about those.
Yes, sir. We raced in quite a few different states. We raced in Arizona, Louisiana, Nebraska, Vegas, and Texas, where we're obviously from.
So I'm going to assume when you go to all these big shows, do they announce you as the Robstown Rocket? Like, do they put that out there and you're just putting Robstown on the map? You're just like, this is me, this is Cameron Starry, I'm the damn Robstown Rocket.
That actually came about because when we were at Arizona, on the paper it said nicknames. And my dad called Tommy Temple the king of nicknames and asked him what a good one would be for me. And he came up with Robstown Rocket.
It's
and
stuck. Everybody knows you as the Robstown
ever
Rocket.
since then, I've been the Robstown Rocket. But speaking of like the preparations and stuff for the big out-of-state races is definitely different than whenever you're getting ready to go race at a local South Texas track. The amount of tires you have to bring, the amount of spare parts you have to bring, being 20 hours away from home is a lot harder than being 30 minutes away from home.
Yeah, you can't just forget something and send somebody back to get it.
Yeah.
How does the schooling and stuff work when you're traveling and doing that stuff?
Last year it really wasn't too much of a problem because the only one that we really went to that we missed school was Arizona. But at the beginning of this year, I had missed quite a bit of school and stuff like that. But my grades were good enough to allow me to be able to miss school and not get in trouble with it because my GPA was high enough to...
No, it looks like on here you have listed you made the honor roll. Don't know exactly what year, but you made the honor roll. And you were the student of the month, the Nueces County FFA October Student of the Month, while we're still racing, while we're still chasing that dream.
Yes, sir. Basically, it had always been no pass, no play for my dad growing up and everything like that. So basically that stuck with me that if I want to be successful, that I'm going to have to step up on my part, that if racing doesn't work out for me, I need to have a second plan, and my second plan would be able to use what God gave me, and that is my smarts.
Cool deal. Tell me about your biggest racing accomplishment locally.
My biggest racing accomplishment locally would probably be winning my first factory stock race at Texana. That was a big one. The week before, I got passed on last lap, and
for a while it seemed like it was the one that got away multiple times. I remember you winning the race there. I remember Starry running on the track. There was a ton of people down there. It was a big deal. What about your best memory, your most notable abroad race, whether it was a stock car, a modified, a grocery cart? I don't care. What do you consider to be your greatest accomplishment away from the South Texas area?
I think my greatest accomplishment would be winning the Jordan Page Memorial in Oklahoma, because I had shown up that weekend just to race the modified, and Leslie had asked me if I wanted to practice the stock car that night.
Now, when you say practice, you'd never drove it before?
Never driven one, never sat in one. don't know how they drive, don't know how they react or anything like that. All I know is that they put on amazing races up north. So it had always been a dream of mine to drive a stock car.
So you rolled into Southern Oklahoma to drive the modified. Did you have to drive the modified and the stock car?
Yes, sir. That Friday night was passing points night to set you up for the next race, and I had won my stock car heat by a straightaway the first time. The second time we went last to second, and then in the modified, I believe we had a second place in one of the heats, and then a fourth place in another one of the heats. So in both cars, we were setting pretty. I believe I was number 2 in passing points going into the stock car. And it had just so happened to be my birthday that Saturday also, my 17th birthday. And I remember Leslie, he had more confidence in me than I had in myself. He told me that as long as I just let the car do what it wants and not try to fight what it wants to do, that we could be there at the end of the race. And I was supposed to.
He didn't lie. He didn't
lie. He knew more than I did at the time, and I remember I rolled off 6th, I rolled off 8th because of the redraw. We had the worst redraw, and it was follow the leader there for about half of the race on the bottom, and then something in me told me that the high side looked good, and
it was time to hustle the
it
high
was,
side.
It was time to hustle.
Time to light the rocket.
It was time to hustle, and I remember we passed a car right before caution came out, so that had us starting, I believe, second row outside on the restart, and within 2 laps we had a lead, and we were starting to check out from the field. We ended up winning that one. Everybody in the crowd sang me happy birthday.
That's awesome. So you're at a track away from home, first time ever driving the stock car. You won the feature and they sang happy birthday to you. That doesn't happen very often. Like that's an anomaly, honestly.
Yes, sir.
Well, congratulations on that win and happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
That's a pretty cool deal. Here's the deal, guys and gals. This is a local racer from a very small town. A very great family, has been involved in racing for a very long time, but he has the opportunity to go off and do great things. He's got a great sponsor behind him. This kid works on his car. I've been to their shop. He has a good grasp on what it takes to make this thing happen. So with that being said, I want you to take some time and thank your sponsors. Thank the people that make this possible for you.
The first thanks I'd like to thank is Leslie and Stacy Gill. Without them, my racing career wouldn't be where it is at today. Same with my mom and dad and my sister. They helped me with everything. My brother Zyler and EJ, they're my 2 head crew guys. They're at every single.
They're your best hands. Is that what I see on the internet? They're your best hands.
Yes, sir. They help with everything when it comes to working on the car. My nanny and pawpaw, they show up to every single local race that they can and support me every way that they can. Tommy Temple, he's also believed in me since I was racing go-karts. So he's also been a good family friend and good help. And then the sponsors would be Stealth Oil Well Services, Stealth Through Tubing, First Class Towing, 89 Motorsports, Ace Transmissions, Algar Inc., Dark Side Constructions, Pictures by Nanny, Starry Ranch, Texas Most Hated Trucking, Kenneth Montgomery, Don Wilde, Outlaw Race Cars, Magnum Services, CRS Suspension, Rush Fire Suits, TTR, and Harris Race Chassis.
So Cameron, as you did roll off a ton of sponsors there. I want everybody to understand sponsors don't come easy. Sponsors, they have to turn loose of money or product. And the reason that you do have those sponsors in my eyes is, number one, you take care of your equipment. You always show up at the racetrack with a competitive car. It's clean, it's well taken care of, and sponsors look at that stuff. I'm one of those guys that look at that stuff and I notice those things. So these things don't come easy, and understand that in most guys' lifetimes, they don't get to do what you're doing right now. So understand this is a big deal. Take it all in and understand that you have the opportunity of a lifetime. You really, really do. What's your long-term goals? So obviously we're doing a little tennis, we're doing a little baseball, we're doing a little local racing. If the college thing works, great. If it doesn't, where are we going to try to be? What are we going to try to do now?
I think my goal right now is to play college baseball.
Okay.
And if that doesn't work out, I'm going to go to college at Texas A&M Island. and get a degree and like business kind of selling stuff. I'd like to be a real estate agent and get my auctioneer's license, that way I can sell ranches and different things like that. And then after I get done with school and stuff like that, I'd like to run one of the touring series, whether that be a modified, late model, whatever we have at the time. My main racing goal would be race a USMTS modified on the tour.
Well, cool deal. Obviously, Leslie is standing behind you as well as your family, but if anybody out there has a ride in one of those series, he might just jump in that thing tomorrow and do you proud. So thank you, Cameron. Thank you for coming on. We really had a great time. I enjoyed your stories. I enjoyed your tales. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
As the checkered flag flies on this episode, I would like to take the time to thank our guests, Stephan and Sheryl Danielsen, the Robstown Rocket, Cameron Starry, as well as our sponsors, Proline Fabrication, Top Hat Signs and Designs, 112 Bodies, and S&S Monuments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for tuning in.